Hey everyone, coming at you with a video today on the DS Arms Polymer 20 round metric pattern FAL magazine. I've had this magazine for a few years now. It came with my rifle, my SA-58 Bush Warrior model FAL from DS Arms, and I can say after the initial testing with it, I have not used it. I'll go over some of those reasons why here shortly. So kind of some primer. Otherwise, DS Arms, they were making metal magazines and they have started making them again, thankfully. I need to pick a couple of those up to test out alongside some of the other metal magazines, the surplus magazines that I have for FALs. I need to get some of those because this did not pass my requirements for use for several reasons. So I need to get some of their metal magazines, but I'll go over this one and my long-term assessment review of it with the main points to why it's no good. I know other people don't have issues per se with these magazines, these polymer magazines, and the homie, the FAL Guy, homie of mine, over on his channel, he shot these a bunch and he doesn't really have issues with them. To my understanding, there's two different generations or iterations of the magazine, and I have a feeling that this is the earlier generation, the first generation iteration. It seems like the newer ones are better with a slightly different polymer blend, I think, and those seem to be a little bit better. But this is an earlier gen one, I guess, and we'll just kind of go over excuse me, we'll just kind of go over some of the issues with it here. So again, it is branded DS Arms. It has the marking over there. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I'm not a polymer specialist. I don't know, whatever. But some of the biggest issues with this, it doesn't really like pop out rounds. I mean, if you're gonna load it and smack it on the ground, yeah, you're probably gonna have a couple of rounds pop out. But that didn't seem to be the issue. The main issues are when it was loaded, and again, just an example of one, as School of the American Rifle says, just an example of one, but that seemed to be a common problem with these magazines is reviews that I've seen on Brownells and other places about these. When it was loaded, the body would swell. It would bulge out and swell. Okay, so that's a big issue. Because fitment is not going to be right, and that's going to cause issues of performance of the spring and the follower and everything, you know, within the magazine. Okay, so that's not great, first off. Second off, with this magazine, and this comes to the polymer type, there was some serious problems. Every time I was inserting the magazine and then removing it, I was finding shavings of plastic inside the rifle. And you can kind of see it up here on the lip here. There's some gouging in the polymer here. So it was taking chunks of plastic off of the magazine. It was shaving and gouging chunks of plastic off of the magazine, and that was getting into the rifle. That's not good. That is a automatic fail, in my opinion and assessment of these magazines. Now again, example of one. This is an older, I think the older version of their magazine. I'm not entirely sure. It's what they sent, the one that they sent with the rifle when I had ordered it. So take that for what it is. But the locking lug back here is also kind of chewed up a little bit, again because of that polymer quality, that poor polymer quality. The front locking lug seems to be fine, but there's a lot of scraping and gouging, and you can see it, you know, along the sides and the feed lips and stuff. And part of that, again, because the magazine swells when you load it, when you have it loaded, and then just the softer, cheaper quality of the polymer that they're using. This is not Magpul polymer, you know. I've actually spent a couple of years kind of being on Magpul about it. They make an aftermarket FAL stock for FAL rifles, but they don't make FAL magazines. And I've been kind of on a campaign towards Magpul going, hey, make FAL magazines, because people want them. People want a reliable polymer FAL magazine. There's a couple of other ones on the market of polymer ones. This is the and I'm gonna brain fart on the names here. There's like a machine and tool company that had a polymer one, but those are all discontinued. And then there's the, was it Pro Mag or whatever? I think it was Pro Mag or whatever. They made a polymer one too, and that one's not great at all either. FAL Guy has done a review on all those polymer magazines for FALs. Go check that out on his channel. Highly recommend watching that. To my assessment of that video, none of them passed. So there's not a good Polymer FAL magazine on the market. I am glad that DS Arms is making their steel metal magazines again. And I've got several other types of metal magazines. The KCI discontinued KCI South Korean made metal magazines. I've got an Israeli mag, I've got an Austrian mag, and I have, thanks to the FAL Guy, a couple of South African mags. Those all run great. They're fantastic. No issues with any of them, and that's still the standard for FALs in particular, is metal magazines. So until a proper good polymer magazine comes onto the market, this one's no good. The other ones are no good. So stick to the metal magazines. Again, I'm going to get a couple of the metal DS Arms magazines now that they're making them again to try out. And if they're good, I'll make a video on those. Otherwise, you know, just scour around the surplus market and wherever to try and find, if you have an FAL, to try and find adequate magazines. The other issue is the unscrupulous price gouging of FAL magazines. I think average price I'm seeing the cheapest for a 20 round magazine is usually around $50. If you're not going, the FAL Guy and Frontier Armory has the best prices on FAL magazines out there as far as a retailer selling surplus goes. He gets stuff direct from South Africa, and he gets stock of them from other places from time to time too. Other than that, like pretty much everywhere else, I'm seeing $50 or above for 20 round metal magazines for FALs, which is ludicrous. 30 round magazines are pretty much unobtainium now, and you can expect to spend $120, if not more, for one of those if you find one. So those are some of the issues with the industry. There's a lot of FAL owners in the country. There's still a need for magazines. The surplus market is drying up and being price gouged, like I said. So with the new production of DS Arms steel magazines coming out, that's a blessing. I want to check those out. But otherwise, as far as final assessment goes, their polymer magazines and the other ones, the other few that are still being made on the market, are no-go. Thumbs down. So, but that's my assessment of it. Other people are going to have other values and opinions on it, and that's fine. If they've not had issues, then cool, run it. But for me, no-go. So that'll about round off this video. So thanks for tuning in. More stuff coming soon. Metal up.